Hey guys, Felix here, and I got with me, boy, here we go, focus. I got with me a DNA 30 box mod from Italy, and this is called the Blackie 30D. It is produced by an Italian modder, A&G Custom Mod, and it is out of ebony wood, a very hard, solid, tough grain wood. So ebony on the outside and stainless steel plates on front and back. Quickly, a charging port here at the bottom. Okay, and if you're familiar with most DNA devices, you know that the Evolve charging port that is typically used in most of these mods is a micro USB port, and typically I think it's half an amp, so it charges your battery fairly slowly. Now the battery used in here, and I'm gonna pop open this, we'll get back to it in just a bit, is a Sony VTC5, okay, 18650 battery. And in some of the research, I've found out that the charging board used on this Blackie DNA mod is actually 1 amp. So that means it will charge your battery a heck of a lot faster than the stock Evolve charging board. So that's good, but it's very easy for you to replace the battery if you're in a pinch. You just pop open this magnetic cover. Two magnets here, one on top, one on the other, and then you have two more magnets here in the mod, one on top and one at the bottom. So when you put this plate back on, it just easily sits flush, no gaps whatsoever, no gaps in the front, no gaps in the back. Tactile buttons similar to the ones that you typically see on HANA mods and other mods. Up and down power control here, and of course your DNA screen sitting right there, covered by a plexiglass window to protect the internals and the screen from damage. Engraving on the side of the mod, it says Blackie 30D on one side, and a very nicely signed engraving of the brand, which is A&G Custom Mod, here at the bottom. And here in the corner, if you could see that, let's see if we could get it to focus a little bit better. You have a serial number, and this particular one is number 22. Now, onto the 510 connector. This is where the interesting thing is. It's a very different connector than most of the connectors that you've seen before, in that it has a 23mm diameter and the cup is recessed. Now I would say probably about 1.5 mil in depth. It does have these grooves here, so if you're using an atomizer that requires its own airflow from the bottom, then you could easily use that and screw that here in that 510. A brass adjustable center pin, okay, and it's kind of weird. It does have a hole in the middle, and as I was doing some of my research on this mod, I realized that this same modder makes a squonking device. I'm not entirely sure what it's called, but it's a squonker where the bottle sits inside and you squeeze it, and it feeds a bottom fed atomizer through a pin that has a hole in it. So I have a feeling that the same part is being used on this particular mod. Couple of concerns with this pin. So in terms of adjustability, very easy to adjust. Stick a screwdriver in there, twist it up and down to adjust so you can make connection with your atomizer. But if you do have an atomizer that is prone to leaking from the 510, and I have a couple of atomizers that are prone to leaking. One of them is the Revolution, and the reason why it's prone to leaking is you have these two Delrin insulators top and bottom. So one here, one at the bottom. And the center shaft is not completely sealed. So there's a slight possibility that depending on how you use the mod, how you tilt it and so forth, the atomizer might start bringing juice into that shaft, and the juice will start traveling down the shaft and into the 510 base. Now, if you have a mod like this is a Hanna V3, the connector itself is sealed, so there's nowhere for the juice to go, and there's no way for the juice to actually enter inside the mod and damage components and so forth. That's not the case with this, because if you take the pin out, the pin itself has that hole drilled completely through it. So if you do get juice leaking inside this 510 connector, there's a good chance that you might have that juice travel throughout the mod and possibly damage some of the components. Now, I know the DNA 30 board is sealed and protected against water, so it's almost waterproof to a certain extent. But again, you probably don't want juice inside your mod to begin with. So pay special attention to your atomizers. Add O-rings if necessary to seal the bottom of your atomizer to prevent juice from entering the mod. The connector itself is very smooth, very well threaded, no drama with it, easily adjustable up and down. It's not sprung loaded, but that's perfectly okay. And it just looks amazing. So very flush, okay, when you screw on an atomizer. And this is the Inax MK2R by Athia Mods from France. And it just looks gorgeous. So the mod itself is very small in hand. I'd say it's probably the size of a Vapor Shark RDNA 30 or 40 wrapped in a shark skin. Here it is side by side sitting against a Hanna. Okay, you can see it's a little bit shorter, okay, and a little bit more narrow than the Hanna. So it does feel fantastic in hand. It is very well crafted, super smooth finish on the wood. It almost feels like Delrin. It's a very light mod, certainly lighter than the Hanna with the same battery in it. Build quality, fantastic. There are no gaps anywhere. The wood is just unbelievably gorgeous. Just make sure that you treat it with wax every now and then to just bring back some of that humidity that wood naturally loses over time, especially if you live in an area where the humidity is low. Also protect the wood from temperature variations. Wood that is unstabilized, this is an unstabilized piece of wood, is prone to cracking. So you don't want that to happen. It's very difficult to fix cracks in hardwood like this without creating more. And that's about it, guys. There's nothing else that I could say about this mod. If you are planning on purchasing one, they're a little bit difficult to get. You have to go through the hoops of tracking down lists in forums and on Facebook groups and so forth. But the modder does have a Facebook page, and if you load up Facebook and search for A&G Custom Mod, his page will show up, and I know he runs limited lists every now and then, so just keep your eye on that group if you'd like one. Price range for this is €200, give and take a couple of extra euro to get it shipped to you. It is coming from Italy, so depending on where you are in the world, that's going to be a little more or a little less. So roughly, I'd say out the door about 250 bucks. That's what I remember paying for it delivered. So yeah, if you are interested in getting one, keep your eye on the Facebook group. Otherwise, drop me some comments so I can make more videos and more reviews of vaping products for you. Otherwise, happy vaping and cheers.